couple of board members will join us. Can everybody hear me okay? Great, just was having some weird muting issues. Anyway, well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to all of the folks that have joined us, both as panelists and as attendees. My name's Tom Drain. I'm the chair of the Central Beaverton Neighborhood Association Committee, and we've got quite a bit to go over this evening. So what I'm gonna do for introductions, since everybody's screens are in different orders, I will just kind of call people around and say, if I say your name, especially if you're a panelist, just let us know why you're at this neighborhood association meeting. So again, I'm Tom, I'm the chair, so I have to be here. Amanda?
Hi, I'm Amanda Clark. I'm the recorder. I'm a Central Beaverton resident, and I'm also the community engagement manager for Beaverton Civic Theater, located in the Central Beaverton NAC.
Great. Lauren Reese?
Hi, I'm Lauren Reese. I'm one of the owners of Lionheart Coffee and First in Watson, and I'm here to talk about the open air seating that we are putting together with the city this week.
Great. Miles?
I'm Miles Glowacki. I'm the neighborhood program coordinator for the city of Beaverton. Just to let everybody know, the state requires that we record these meetings now, so you're being recorded. I know we just archived the recording. I'm not sure what they want us to do after that, but we'll be saving the recordings until the state says we can release them.
Great. So just FYI. Roger Wood?
Hi there, I'm Roger Wood. I'm a head brewer at Binary Brewing, and we're hoping to move into Kat's building.
Great. Josh Johnson?
How's it going? I'm the general manager and owner of Binary Brewing, working with Roger.
Fantastic. Reed Leslie?
Hello, Reed Leslie. I'm a Guggenheim Architecture, and we are working on the bakery block with Binary Brewing and Kat.
Kat?
All right, that's my team. So I am Kat Magner, and I own what we call the bakery block, which is known as the old Beaverton Bakery buildings. And we are here to present our development plan to put Binary Brewing into one of our spaces.
Great. All right. Kevin Teeter?
Hey everybody, my name is Kevin. I am the executive director of the Beaverton Downtown Association. I also live downtown. And we do have a couple other NAC board members coming, John and Quinn. They're just running late.
Gotcha. Fantastic. Kinsey?
Hi everyone, I'm Kinsey Johnson. Shout out Josh, love a last name buddy. But I'm a board member and I live in Central Beaverton. And as Kevin said, I bring the sass. I guess that's my role on the team. So okay. There you go.
Deputy Chief Williams? Currently without audio, Deputy or Chief. Nope.
Hey, Miles, he may not know. It's kind of a little different for us on this Zoom that you got to do a *6 to mute and unmute. I don't know if he caught that or not.
I am unmuted now. How's that?
All right.
There we go.
Fantastic. Loud and clear.
All right. So I see on the agenda, Chief Groshong was scheduled. I'm clearly not Chief Groshong. She's pretty busy these days, but she asked me to come at the invitation of the NAC to just come answer questions about some of the kind of larger issues going on in the world and how those might affect Beaverton and Beaverton PD. And so I'm here to talk to issues at your pleasure, answer a few questions, and yeah, and I'll try to manage technology.
Fantastic. Officer Maycock?
Yeah, hi, I'm Officer Nathan Maycock. I'm filling in for the regular Neighborhood Resource Officer, Officer Sutton tonight, and I will be deferring to the Deputy Chief and Lieutenant Wandell for any questions. No, happy to be here.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. Hannah?
Hello, I'm with Guggenheim Architecture, also here on behalf of the bakery blocks.
Excellent. And I see a phone number. I'm assuming that's then the lieutenant. Is that correct?
It is. So this
Okay.
is, I'll say acting captain Paul Wandell. So
Okay.
I'll piggyback off what
Pardon-
the
pardon
deputy
me.
chief says. No, you're fine. I've been filling in for, well, it's Heath Groshong now. I was filling in
Okay.
for her for a year while she stepped up.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, thank you all for joining us. And apparently we do have some more board members on the way. Well, they don't get to introduce themselves. So with that in mind, let's go ahead to the first item on the agenda, which is now Deputy Chief Williams and the BPD response to the 8 Can't Wait campaign. So take it away.
Okay. Well, thank you for this opportunity to speak with you this evening. I'm not going to go into a tremendous amount of detail. I'll defer to questions from the NAC board and chair or other participants if you want me to talk in more detail about any particular topic. But in short, shortly after the events in Minneapolis and the death of George Floyd, there was a lot of conversation nationwide about racial justice in police departments, use of force, and the list goes on and on. One of the things that was talked about at a national level was this concept called 8 Can't Wait, and it's basically 8 points that organizations, members of the community are looking for police departments, law enforcement agencies to address in their policies. And on June 10th, Chief Groshong went to our city council and gave an update on those, basically went over what the 8 are and kind of the status of how those look in our policies right now. And all it was a presentation. There was no council action on it at that time. Since that time, the council's received a lot of community feedback. There's been visitor comments at council. And also at the same time, our state legislature held a special session in which they forwarded 6 bills to the governor, of which 5 have already been signed. And there's kind of this mix of the 8 Can't Wait policy recommendations, along with the 5 new pieces of legislation at the state that we're working to figure out how do our policies basically align with that. What things are we already doing that meet those? What things do we need to change? In addition, we're, I guess, sitting back a little bit with ears wide open to hear what our elected officials, which direction they want us to go. And we're giving them as much of our professional insight into these matters as we can. So I know a little bit vague, but I didn't know how much detail folks would like me to go into or not go into. Aside from that, we've basically just wanted to come to the NACs and make ourselves available to answer questions. And so that's why I'm here.
All right. Well, thank you, Deputy Chief, for that introduction. And with that, I guess we'll go ahead and open it to both attendees and the board to see if there are any questions for the Deputy Chief or the other members, representatives of BPD in regards to this matter, in particularly the 8 Can't Wait campaign. Are there? I mean, I saw the presentation that the chief gave at the city council meeting, and then I also had the opportunity to speak with Captain Othis during a couple of weeks ago, kind of when it was very immediate in people's minds. And from my understanding, what people's concerns are is that there is a very easy way to answer each thing point by point. And I think we're very fortunate in the time that I've lived in Beaverton to never have heard about incidents, certainly not of this magnitude, but any sort of friction between the populace and the police department. And Captain Othis was very clear, things like chokeholds are not currently trained by the academy here, but with the understanding that in a life and death situation, the officer is always going to prioritize their own safety, so that you can't say, we can't ban this because, anything can be on the table in case of, officer safety. So I think that kind of the problem that I have seen is that we haven't had to, as a community, have those hard lessons learned because of an incident. And so what do we do? How can we be clear that there's the buy-in from the staff and the department itself when it really comes to, what are the actions that the police are doing in order to integrate with the community and make sure that there's not this kind of friction. And that's the harder thing to do. Trust me, I totally understand. And it's not a single action. So I don't know if you would be willing to speak on anything outside of the 8 can't wait bullet points, just about community engagement. But I would be interested to hear anything like that either now or in the future.
Yeah, and I'll keep it brief because it sounds like there's some other exciting stuff to talk about also tonight. But I do appreciate the opportunity to speak to it because we talk a lot about transparency. We always have before the events in Minneapolis, and we do so even more so now. And we say that because we have to remember that we work for the public, and the public sets what the expectations are of the criminal justice system. As practitioners of criminal justice and policing, there's things that we know and we can provide our expertise on, but ultimately there's others that set the policy on a more grand scale. But I will take a second to talk about this concept of procedural justice and police legitimacy. It's something that has been taught at the academy for the last several years. I'm an instructor in it. I've taught several classes. And it's this concept that people will see the police as legitimate when you engage in certain behaviors. And it's important that the public sees the police as legitimate. There's a lot of reasons for that, but we only have that authority which the public gives us. And we have to always be mindful of that. And some of the principles of procedural justice are making sure that we're doing things in a fair way, making sure that we're giving people voice. I think of it in terms of something just like a traffic stop. Rather than going up to the window and saying, I stopped you for speeding and here's your ticket, most people want to tell their side of things. And rather than, just, well, I don't want to hear it, giving that person an opportunity to either, just explain themselves or complain in any kind of venue is important. Also, the concept of neutrality. In order for us to have legitimacy, we have to ensure that the public sees that we're neutral. We're not picking sides, that we really are trying to be objective evaluators of information that's coming to our attention. So let's see, we had voice, neutrality, fairness, impartiality. But I mention this because this is leading edge stuff that in one sense, we've always done it. It's just been good old fashioned community policing. But we've really put some labels on it and looked at the science to understand that we do get good outcomes when we engage in practices of procedural justice. It's good for the department, it's good for the community. And I see everything that we're doing right now and until the day I retire, consistent with those principles. And so to tie it back to national events, it's all going to come down to being transparent, explain to people why we do the things we do, and making sure that we are truly engaged with the community and discussing expectations, not just to check a box, but really to be seeking really true input and realizing it in our policies, procedures, and how we show up in the community. So that's actually a short answer to a very complicated question, but those are the conversations we're having internally at the department with the chief.
We've got a question from the other Tom. He says to Deputy and maybe Officer Maycock can answer this also. Has the police force noticed an uptick in homeless activity in the past 2 months in the central business area At Holland Plaza, we have noticed more activity. What is the best resource to refer these individuals to for help? Thank you.
So I'll give the perspective from my office where I work, and then Officer Maycock can give the real frontline answer, or correct me if I'm wrong. We don't necessarily have statistical information that will tell you that there's an increase or decrease, but anecdotally, based on the types of calls we're seeing, there does seem to be a slight uptick. But it wouldn't be, I guess, prudent for me to say, and here's why, or, you know, some causation. I would really require some crime analysis. But it does seem that there is a bit of an uptick. And, you know, if it's a situation where, you know, there's public disorder, trespassing, things like that, we encourage you to give us a call our non-emergency. We have 2 bike teams that are specifically trained, equipped, and qualified to reach out to people who are experiencing homelessness and give them resources. In addition to addressing it, if there's a criminal matter that needs to be addressed at hand, they're really good about connecting people with resources. Officer Maycock, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think during maybe back in April and the height, the shutdown and COVID, I did see there was an increase of homelessness or individuals in the Beaverton central area. I think working this area, maybe a slight uptick now, but I think it's back more to kind of the normal levels, what I see. And like the deputy chief said, we have 4 officers that's pretty much their whole job is providing resources to the individuals that we come in contact with. Did that answer your question?
I think there was a text question, so we'll see if he responds. But yes, that was an answer to his question. Are there other questions for the BPD representatives?
I have one. First of all, sorry I was late. I'm running behind at everything. So first of all, I want to say that my general interaction with police in Beaverton has been phenomenal. Like, and I say that both I've had things like packages stolen from my porch, and all the sort of normal interactions, but I've also had to work with Officer Scher with Pride, who has been a phenomenal partner in planning and everything. But I also come from, like, I have biracial members of my family, so like I hear a lot of this, and I'm concerned about a lot of things. I don't think Beaverton police exist in a vacuum, right? Like people see what's happening in Minneapolis and they see what's happening in Portland, and I think they're hurting out there. And I think there's a lack of trust, and I think a lot of it is probably not deserved. You know, you guys have been really good, and I think there's a lot to be commended there. But I also think that we can't pretend that, you know, that policing in general has been, across the country, has been particularly equitable and particularly fair to all members of our community. And even just outreach through the NAC, if you look, you know, every single person I see, we're all pretty white, you know, and that's what you're going to see if you just limit it to NAC. So in talking to some of my friends in the Pride org, and talking to some of my friends in the BIPOC community, I think we've got to figure out ways to build trust again, because I think that's what is missing is just a lack of trust. And again, I don't think it's the fault of Beaverton police. I don't. I just think it's that these things exist as a whole. People see police, and they don't necessarily see just the Beaverton police, or, you know, and so I think we've got some relationship building and some mending and some trust, and that's just going to take a while. And what I would really like to see, and I don't know the answer to this, but like with the debate with the 8 Can't Wait and all that, I feel like those are community members talking to police or through the council and whatnot. But I feel like there needs to be a bigger conversation going on about what changes you guys would like to see. You know, you're the insiders. You're the people that know policing. You know, it'd be great to see you out in the communities of color and immigrant communities, people like that, and just listening and talking and you know, being proactive as much as possible. Not just the NACs. I promise you, I've been to a ton of them. You'll see a bunch of white people, and that's, you know, we need to have a conversation too, for sure. But I think the trust is mostly missing there. So number one, freaking amazing that you're here. I love it. You guys come all the time and do this for us. So this is really important. Just, you know, I would encourage you to think bigger terms as far as those particular communities. I know it's a really tough time to be a police officer right now. And that's not lost on me either. Like I can't imagine, like we even have, I'm going to bring it up later in the meeting, but we even have this guy who is a massive record walking around central Beaverton, basically assaulting people, but not really, you know, just like yelling and screaming and filming them. And you guys probably know who I'm talking about, but it's like, I know that I can call the police and that makes me feel better. And I think, you know, it's just this weird, like, place that we're all in right now. So I can't imagine how tough it is. Can't imagine how tough it is to be a Black person right now if they need the police. Like, it's just got to be this weird, heartbreaking thing. And so we've got to figure out a ways to get that trust rebuilt, because I know you guys are worth it, and you work really hard, and I want to see that community love spread to everybody. So appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah. And just to follow along with that, from John, I would like to make sure that you know that the NAC is, especially Central Beaverton, we've got a great diverse population. It's not as well represented here as we would like. That's our own personal discussions and issues. But I would like to make sure that you know that we're a resource as well for the BPD in order to liaise with the community. So any events or partnerships that of public outreach, we would love to be a part of that as well and help you guys, because I mean, I've had the privilege of working with BPD extensively through Beaverton CERT and things like that. So I know that it's odd to be having this conversation here. It's important that it is, but the only way that we can, you know, have a better community is to work together. So once again, I'd like to thank you for your attendance and presentation.
Yeah, if I could just follow up. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
I just want to say that I appreciate everyone's comments, and Officer Shear was just mentioned, and you know, Steve Shear works in traffic division. He's been there for years, and we work so many events with the community, both, you know, sponsored by the city of Beaverton and private events, and those are huge relationship builders for us, and it's nice to hear the positive comments, and I just want to pass along to everyone that even in this environment, this COVID environment, where all events were canceled, and especially in the passing of George Floyd, that Steve Shear and his traffic unit have on their own reached out to, you know, the event holders and seeing how they're doing with the COVID environment, and actually seeing what we can do to answer these questions and keep that conversation going. So there's a lot of that positive informal conversation that's going on as well. So I just wanted to pass that along, and I appreciate the comments on Steve Shear. He does a great job.
Yeah, he and both Rhonda have reached out to us in the Pride org and continue to be blown away by that community building and trust. So that is to be commended for sure.
Thank you.
Chair Drain, can I follow up with a really quick comment?
Absolutely.
I'll echo what Captain Wandell said, and we absolutely welcome if you know of a group or an organization that you think we should be interacting with, help us out and let us know. We just recently built an well-established relationship with the Beaverton Black Parent Union, and it's interesting because you start to have conversations and people ask for things that are just really simple, and you're like, oh yeah, that's not a problem. Yes, we'll be there. Yeah, let's meet and talk. And I think sometimes there's this kind of mystical, the police, you know, they're in the building. What are they doing? How's it all work? And we're just absolutely at the ready to talk about what we do and how we do it, and show up where people want us to show up in the community. So if you have those ideas, please share them with us. And we love, I mean, I love these kinds of meetings. I love all kinds of community outreach, and we'll show up and we'll talk and we'll build relationships.
Fantastic. That's kind of what it's all about.
Perfect. Thank you. That's perfect.
All right. In the interest of time, maybe then it's worth going over to Officer Maycock for the more Central Beaverton specific liaison report.
Well, I pulled up the statistics for the past month here in the central area. There was 19 assaults, and the way they're coded, this is kind of harassments, assaults, simple assaults, ag assaults all together. There was 89 thefts this past month in the area, and that includes shoplifting, theft from vehicles, I guess all larceny offenses, 19 drug offenses, 10 cases of vandalism, criminal mischief, 4 forgeries, and those are the big ones. Do you guys have any questions on any of that?
I do. Question for you. So we've been, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, but we have, there's a gentleman, and I won't get into names and all that, but he lives off of Erickson Avenue, and he seems to be triggered by anyone walking with a dog, and he is kind of verbally assaulting everyone in the neighborhood. Everyone I know has called non-emergency police constantly. So they know about him. Every time we call them, they know exactly who he is. But it just seems like this is going, and he's been arrested for assault. Like he has like multiple assault charges in Portland that have been dealt with. He has a case here in Beaverton that we found out on next door that he assaulted, punched a lady and her wife and her husband. But anyway, like, it's just like, is it just the norm that we just keep calling? Because I feel like it's going to be this is a time bomb. He is triggered, he has mental issues, and he is walking amongst a very dog heavily walked neighborhood. And we have a lot of older people. I am terrified that the retirement facility I see, I live right on 8th and Main, and I constantly see elderly people that live in the retirement center behind me walking with their dog. And I'm like, I've had interactions with the guy. He comes up and he puts a camera in your face and just curses at you, and like tries to kick your dog and all this stuff. Like, it's just like, it's, everybody knows about him. Like, should we just keep calling? Is there anything we can do?
Well, I wasn't the primary officer, but I think this is the subject you're talking about. Someone did deck him.
Good.
a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, someone hit him.
I think
was
it was
that
like
on 8th and Main?
I think it was on 5th and Erickson.
5th and yeah, like it's
it was up in that area. But yeah, you're right. He has some mental health issues, and he likes to go around filming people. We are aware of him and the calls, some of the calls he creates. It's kind of hard to do. He is free to walk on the sidewalks. He is free to have his phone in his hand and film people. Now, if he's going to if he's, you say, trying to kick people or their pets, or being verbally aggressive towards people, yeah, please call us and we can come deal with him on those individual incidents. But it's kind of hard. He has been talked to about his behavior and what he's doing and how it can, aggravate others. But, there's only so much he's still free to, come out of his house and walk around. And like I say, have his phone. But if he's being aggressive in any way, or like I say, doing any of that behavior, please call us right at the time when he's out there doing it, and we will come deal with it.
Yeah, we have, and he, like every neighbor we've been talking to and warning them because they have dogs, we just say, hey, look out, go to the other side of the street, kind of thing. But I will also say that, like, in my interaction with him, he was on the opposite side of the street and came over to my side of the street to deal with me. So like, it wasn't like we weren't even on the same, he crossed Main where I was and came to be aggressive with me. And like I feel like it's only a matter of time though. You know, again, we'll keep calling, we'll keep doing all that, but we're also telling everyone, you know, he walks basically from Erickson to Main to the Veterans Park, all around that area, 2 to 3 times every single day, and everybody knows about him, and it's just, it's a time bomb waiting.
Yeah, and like I say, we're aware of him. We've talked to him, and like I say, if he's coming towards you and being aggressive in any way, you can call 911 if you feel threatened or if you think he's going to do something, or you know, if he's just out, you can call non-emergency. Either way, we will come out and let us deal with him.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
I'm just going to add something. Rarely do these calls actually make it to my attention. However, I know exactly what you're talking about. This was a discussion with our senior command this morning, and I can also share exactly what Officer Maycock told you to do is exactly what we recommend. Continue to call us, but one of our detectives is working to coordinate our response, and I cannot share with you what exactly that means, other than to say that there is a coordinated effort to work through this. We see that you can keep calling, and well, what's that do? Well, we want that to lead to some resolution. And like a lot of situations we deal with these days, they're complex. It's not as simple as behavior where a person engages in it and they're criminally culpable. There are other issues present. So we are going to work through it, and we do have a detective assigned to it.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate it. That's, I mean, and from a neighbor to neighbor perspective, we're just warning people to like if you're walking down and you see him, and you know, most people kind of know who he is because he walks all the time. We're like, just go to the opposite side, you know, do your best to avoid him, kind of thing, to give people space. And you know, like he has had a few moments where he's like kind of come across the street at people, but generally we've seen like if you kind of give him space, then that seems to be the way we can deal with it, you know, until he becomes violent or whatever. But I appreciate you guys. Yeah, violent again. Yeah, because we know he has a court case in August. A neighbor told us from the assault. So, but thank you.
All right. Maybe just one last thing for BPD. I do know, and maybe other members of the community can speak to this as well. I have had a couple of neighbors who, in the past 2 weeks or so, there was a rash of tire slashing from 2 neighbors. Either one neighbor had 8 tires poked in there, and then another neighbor on a different street had 2, and I just don't know if there was an uptick in general in vandalism and property crime like that, or if my neighbors they're concerned that they're being targeted by someone is more the issue. So
one of those with my cases there on 6th Street.
Yep.
I wasn't aware there are others. I checked around the one I had. You know, I checked if there was any surveillance cameras, like any ring cameras.
Right.
There wasn't anything. I wasn't aware there was more cases of tires being slashed, and I don't know those other. I'm not familiar with other cases. But.
Yeah, it was one other neighbor I had suggested that he report it even if he wasn't going to do anything, but I don't believe that he called it in. But just to, I mean, if there weren't other, you know, if these were just the only kind of 2 incidents, then.
And I know on the one case I took, the victim, he didn't know of anyone that would want to do it, any motive, and who it seemed pretty random.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of the same thing with my other neighbor.
So I have no idea if someone that has some sort of beef or just kids in the area, you know, doing criminal mischief stuff. I don't know.
Right.
But I'm not familiar with other cases.
Go ahead. And that's all I was checking about, is to see if this was just coincidence or if there was a rash of other, you know, property damage like this in the area.
I don't know.
Okay.
Cool. Hey, Tom, I'm aware of another one, or I I guess I don't know if it's another one or it's the one you're speaking of, but the individual who is set to have a court date with the man that we've been talking about, her sister's tires were slashed. I believe they live off Erickson.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just keep tabs on things.
Well, I definitely can look up and see how many cases there has been. And definitely if someone hasn't reported, I would encourage you to tell them to report it so we know if this is, where it's happening and how many times.
Right. Okay. Anything else for the BPD? All right. Thank you all very much for your time and attendance and information. And I'm sure this is just another step in an ongoing conversation for the future. So we will hopefully see you all again to continue.
All right. Thank you.
Excellent. Then moving on, because I let things get away from us a little bit. I don't see any THPRD rep right now. Miles?
I don't see him. No.
Okay. Suffice to say that, oh, go ahead.
We can do my update at the end if you want to move on to some of the presenters.
I mean, I think we'll probably make up some time because I also don't see BCCI or Treasury, so we'll recoup a little bit. Why don't we go with city report then? And Miles.
Okay. Let's pull it up here. It's a bit of a long one. Amanda, I'll forward you this email so you have it. Sorry. My daughter just came in. She is 6 and very excited to tell me something.
It's probably very exciting.
July news. Black Lives Matter. Beaverton prides itself on being a diverse and welcoming community. We're listening and working to address heartfelt concerns brought to our attention by community members about systemic racism and calls for equity. We're committed to a path that brings us closer to where we need to be. As a city, Beaverton is invested in policies and programs to help make our work accessible to all community members who call our city home. We have the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Plan, first adopted in 2015 and recently updated in 2019. It's our guiding document for internal and external efforts. The City Council passed a resolution denouncing systemic racism at the June 9th City Council meeting. The resolution announces the city's promise to support nonviolent protests and dismantle longstanding actions that harm people of color, as well as a commitment to eliminate racism in city structures and practices. Additionally, Mayor Denny Doyle signed the My Brother's Keeper Alliance pledge led by former President Obama and committed to review city policies, seek community input, communicate findings, and reform our community's police use of force policies. Community engagement and conversation sessions are being planned. For more information and next steps, visit beavertonoregon.gov/beheard. City buildings. Washington County is still in phase 1 reopening, and city buildings will continue to provide most services remotely. Buildings will be closed to the public through at least Sunday, July 19th. Some services, such as library and Beaverton Municipal Court, may begin limited in-person visits sooner. It's going to be up to those departments and their readiness to invite the public back in. But we are all available by phone and online, including housing and business resources, mediation, the neighborhood office, culturally specific services, building permits, pretty much everything. You can pay your bills over the phone or online, your water bill. The Beaverton City Library has launched BCL to Go, a contactless curbside pickup service at the main library. So 5 days a week, library card holders can make an appointment at beavertonlibrary.org/BCLTOGO to pick up current holds that are in held status as well as up to 3 book bundles for kids geared toward a specific reading level or interest. Book drops at the library and Murray Shoals branch are open to receive returns. They're quarantining the materials for 72 hours before checking them in. So it may take several days before you see them returned on your account. Fines are not being charged for materials returned past their due dates. There is access to computers by appointment for a limited number of people at the main library. It's planned to begin in early January, and face coverings are required for all library visitors. Finally, Beaverton Municipal Court will begin to reopen in a very limited capacity, specifically for criminal arraignments or specific instances where defendants are unable to use technology to access remote hearing options. To ensure safety of everyone, the courtroom setting has undergone an updated to add floor markings for appropriate distancing, rearranged furniture, added plexiglass barriers, and will offer face coverings. For more information about the court, it's beavertonoregon.gov/court. And then on the city's main page, beavertonoregon.gov/coronavirus, you can find all the information about current openings, closings, and how to access city services. That is everything.
All right. Let's see. We'll just go ahead and move on along. Amanda, were there minutes for June? I didn't see them.
There were, yes. I believe I submitted them to Miles, but I can
Okay.
re-forward them if I need to.
Yeah, I didn't see them up on the website, but I may just not have gone to the right link. I just went for the most recent. So we'll check again. We can always, has anybody else, any other board members seen June minutes on the website? All right, then we will go ahead and table that for approval for next month. And then we'll just approve June and July minutes in August. Ryan Shaw is not with us either, so we will delay another treasurer report and see if he can actually join us for one of these meetings. Did the grant get paid out to 2D40? Miles? Yes. Okay, fantastic. So at the moment then we are, I think it, that was a 2,000 grant or a 3,000 grant? I need to, yeah. So we're at either a 2,600 or 3,600 for the time being until we get the reimbursement. So that's the
quick question. This is John. Hey, sorry, I turned off my camera because I'm eating.
That's all right. Yep.
Did someone approach Ryan about his willingness to continue as treasurer? I know we had talked about that, but I wasn't here last month. So. Yeah,
he is. I had gone to go and get on the account with him. I had a wrinkle where I found out that somebody else is using my social security number. So I was not able to actually get a First Tech account to be put on the that. So I will say maybe if maybe John, we can coordinate with you to get somebody else to get you on the account as a signer, just as the interim. Because I mean, we can always have multiple board members.
Sure.
I don't know, Miles. How many would you? What was the maximum number of signers you would suggest that we have on the account?
Only 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So. We do.
Yeah, I'm happy to do whatever, Tom.
Right.
Just, you know.
Yeah, he's around. He's just he's homeschooling his kids right now, so that's the kind of the main thing. But we can coordinate.
Yeah, just text me or whatever. We can figure
absolutely.
It out. Okay, thank you.
But we should have more than just Ryan on there right now. But he seemed okay with this. We'll try and get him to the next meeting. All right. So in that case, moving on to our first presenter. And just actually before we go to these next two agenda items, let me reiterate to every member of the business community in Central Beaverton that comes through, I want to remind you that you are, by default, members of the Neighborhood Association Committee. Please come, whether you have business or not, because we would always like to hear more input from that segment. We get a lot of residents, we get a lot of people who have issues specifically. We've got, petitioners like yourselves, but if you just want to come and be a part of the central business, the Central Beaverton, month-to-month business, please come on down. There's more room on the screen, and there's always a chair for you. So anyway, with that in mind, I will now turn the meeting over to Kat Magner, is that right?
Magner.
Magner, all right, not French, okay. And with neighborhood review meeting about the bakery block. So,
awesome.
Take it away.
Thank you, Tom. Well, we are very excited to show you our project and to get any feedback that people might have. We were hoping to do this in, April or May, but as we all know, we're all delayed a little bit, and so we're excited to be here now. And you guys all met Roger and Josh from Binary, and then Reed and Hannah are from Guggenheim, and they are our architects and helping us design and make everything look beautiful and work correctly within the space. So I'm going to take you guys through a quick slide set, and Josh, Roger, Reed, and Hannah, feel free to just jump in and add anything along the way. And we'll just go. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm on a Mac right now, and I'm not really a Mac person. And so if anything weird happens, just let me know. Desktop. Can you see that? Yes?
No problem.
Okay, perfect.
Looking good.
All right, so here's our presentation. So the bakery block, Dan and I, Dan is my husband. So we bought what we are calling the bakery block in late 2018. And we moved our Miracle Sign shop. So we also own a company called Miracle Sign, which is a family business on Dan's side, and they've been around since the 70s. And Dan and I moved the Beaverton shop into what we're calling the movie theater space in the buildings in September of last year. And we are operating out of that building, and that was phase 1 of our project. We are lifelong Oregonians and Washington County residents, and we're really excited to make an impact on downtown Beaverton and create a really welcome and inclusive environment and community, and just really do what we can to make our little block a really nice place to be and work and create jobs and spaces to go, community. So what's the plan that we're talking about today? This is, we are trying to create a home for the first Beaverton-based brewery, which is where Josh and Roger come in, and develop a unique brewery and tap room on Broadway Street with Binary Brewing. So there are Josh and Roger in action. Josh and Roger, do you guys want to talk a little bit about who you are and what you're excited to bring to the block?
Sure. So I'm a head brewer, and as we move over to the space, I'll be buying into the company too and being one of the partners. So I'm excited for the opportunity to grow. As you can see from the picture there, our current brewery over at Shoals Ferry and Allen Road at the Uptown Market, it's pretty tiny. We've had a lot of interest from the market, and both selling to stores and to bars and draft as well. And we're at a point where we think we can grow, and this opportunity, this building, I've lived in Portland now for about 20 years. Do a lot of shopping down in Beaverton. I've always liked this block and liked the downtown area there. And I'm really excited that the town is investing in bringing back a downtown feeling to the place. And when we saw the space open up and Dan and Kat started working with us to, move into that space if possible, it seemed like a great opportunity for everybody, us to grow, us to help develop the downtown, and me to get an interest, and Josh as well, getting into that nice rebuilding section. So we're very excited at the opportunity.
Awesome. And why Binary?
Josh, you want to pick that up? Why the name? Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm off mute, so I can do it. Anyway, so we came up with the name Binary because my background, as we may have seen on the last slide, I spent the last 35 years in various technology firms, ending up over in the western side of Beaverton at Intel and McAfee doing software stuff. But big computer background. Josh also loves computers and computer games and things like that. There's been a brewery at Uptown for about 7 years. I think it was one of the original breweries in the town of Beaverton since back when. When I came on about 2 years ago, we decided, let's change the name. We're taking a slightly different direction, trying to get a new launch, and wanted to recognize the new team. Josh came into the company shortly before I did. And so we looked at our interests and looked at kind of the technology industries and Silicon Forest type environment, and came up with Binary for the computer-based kind of thing. So it also speaks to our goals of really trying to create quality beer, nothing terribly out there with wild ingredients, but something that you could come in and feel really happy sitting down and having a beer with a couple friends before going off to dinner, or maybe having dinner brought into the tap room, take home with you, and so forth. So simple stuff, but hopefully doing some really neat things with it, like ones and zeros and computers turn into programs like the one we're using.
Perfect. So what will happen here? In the space, Roger and Josh will make great beer. Retail customers will come and buy beer and consume beer. So that's where the tap room and the front of house come into play. So people will be able to come in, order beer, order a 6-pack, a growler, or whatever. They can have a beer in the space or take beer with them. They will distribute cans and kegs to wholesale customers out of the back of the house, essentially. And Binary will encourage customers to bring in their own local food from neighboring restaurants and enjoy on premises while drinking their beer, either in the tap room or in the patio, which will be right next door in front of the Robinson House. And this is interesting because there isn't a kitchen involved in the brewery and the design. So they're really trying to create this sense of community where people go get a pizza or a burger and maybe come by and eat it, or they have, Postmates or Caviar deliver things to the tap room while they're enjoying their beer. Binary will host a lot of community events. They do a really good job of this now with either competitions or participating in different community events and just getting people involved in what they're doing. And we're really excited to see that happen on the block.
Kat, I figured out how to get my mic working. Do you mind if I chat for just a second? I apologize. Yeah, we're really excited to possibly come into closer into the roots of Beaverton. I'm also the managing partner and owner of Uptown Beer Co. in the old Uptown Market location, as we've kind of been alluding to. So really involved in the west side of Portland beer scene, which is growing and becoming more and more vibrant. And we've loved watching Ex Novo and now Great Notion and a lot of other fantastic people bring some sort of beer experience to Beaverton. But we're looking, and what we're really excited about is bringing you the brewing process to the heart of Beaverton. So many of the other people have chosen to bring second locations and things like that, where we would be moving into becoming our main location, and really excited about the idea of producing on site in what's we're hoping is going to be a really vibrant downtown area. So that's part of what really makes us interested in wanting to work with Kat and Dan and get into that spectacular space with so much rich history and community.
I love it. So what will change about the building? The historic retail storefront and brick facade will remain intact. We were really committed to preserving the history and the charm of all of those buildings and the block. There will be a shipping and receiving door added to the north side, which is in the back alley of the building. And that will be to access the brewery in the back to bring ingredients in and product out. The doors and windows a door and window will be added to the east facing wall from the tap room to a plaza, as long as that engineering feat is able to happen and will be approved. We would like to have access from the tap room to the plaza so we can have really nice outdoor space. We will replace all the old or rotting windows in the Robinson House which is part of a storefront improvement grant that we've been working with. Possible removal of paneling to restore original Robinson House porch. This could be a big one because it was walled in. And so we would really like to get the wall that now blocks the porch and the original entryway from view back to its original form. So it really feels like that beautiful old, Queen Anne Victorian house. And then the rooftop mechanical screening between the Robinson House and the former cake shop. So all the HVAC and mechanical will be on top of the building and will be screened. Reed, do you have anything else to add there?
Not changes. Obviously, in the interior there'll be a lot of changes because the space is pretty empty right now. But from the exterior, it will remain pretty similar. Part of the reason for that is both the pharmacy storefront and the Robinson House are on the Beaverton Historic Register. And so in addition to us wanting to be mindful of it, we are required to be mindful of those two buildings. And it's pretty fun working on a historic place. I don't know, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of old pictures, there's a lot of old drawings, and for somebody in architecture, that's pretty interesting. It's pretty exciting to try and breathe new life into those things. So you can see kind of the concept floor plan that we're working with and the area of work in this middle segment that we will focus on for this phase.
Yep. So yeah, that takes us to this slide. So the movie theater is over here where Miracle is. The middle section is our phase 2, which is what is in regard to this, project that we're talking about today, where Binary Brewing will go in basically an L shape. There will be common bathrooms here in the middle, and then a future tenant space, which would be a small retail space down here underneath the Robinson House. So if you, there we go. So this is just a little drawing of what a tap room and what a retail space could look like from the Guggenheim team, with tap room, brewing happening in the back, tap room and bar in the front, and then a really fun, 3D drawing of what it will feel like to walk into that amazing room and building and space. So the front, if you can see here, the bakery storefront looks very similar to what it looks like today, but it will be cleaned up. Awning, lighting, brick facade, and then right here is the porch that we were talking about. Right now, there's just basically a wall that shuts that, that goes along the perimeter of the porch, so that it really doesn't feel like a porch anymore. This is the back of the building, so the north facing side, where there will be an aluminum loading door put into the back for easy access. And this is where, all of the tenants, including ours at Miracle Sign, this will be, garbage access, loading access, etc. So we can keep it off of the nice, pretty front streets. This is the east side. So this is where we would love to put an access door from the tap room into the plaza to create that community outdoor space. And that's it. So I guess that leads us to really any questions that people might have.
Okay, I've got a couple right off the bat. First off, the clock. Is it staying or is it being removed?
It was taken in the middle of the night one night.
I'm looking at an old picture then, so because I've just got that is really, really.
You are.
The clock mystery.
Yeah. Okay. Second, and this is more on the taproom house. My knowledge of OLCC laws is probably 20 years out of date, but. Is it? I didn't know it was possible these days to get away with not having a kitchen or other food, in-house food service in even like a tavern.
I'll go ahead and take this as a long-standing member of this kind of community and whatnot. It's kind of different rules for breweries. Liquor, once the liquor's involved, the requirement of the 6 hot meals and all of the stuff is required. Tap rooms and brewery spaces have a much more minor expectation on that. And there's quite a few great, wonderful tap rooms around Beaverton that I can kind of point to for examples. Craft Tap Room is wonderful, and they're able to suffice with just a couple snacks. And so it would be, it's totally fine. Liquor is where things get really complicated.
Gotcha. Yeah, and my knowledge more from the restaurant side rather than brewery side. So restaurant licenses don't even, they're automatically serving food. They're not serving liquor. That's fine. Like I said, I was 20 years out of date. That's all. So fantastic. Other questions or comments from attendees?
I have a question. So number one, excited, yay! This is exactly one of the things we need. We need more small businesses doing this. So number one, congratulations. This is awesome to both the developer and the business owners. You guys, this is yes. Secondary, are you, like, I see you're activating the front of the lot for like a courtyard feel. So this is kind of a 2-part question, and the reason being is we are kind of the traditional downtowner, like no kids but a dog, right? Like, are you going to have outdoor seating for dogs in that area, and or sort of I know like some of the other tap rooms that don't allow or don't have a kitchen, they actually allow dogs inside, which is kind of cool. So I didn't know if you were thinking about that. And secondarily, this kind of weird question on the hall side of your business, there is a big plaza there as well. Have you guys thought about activating that in any way? Or I don't know if you even own that or if that's like weird city land or something, but that would be a really cool place to throw some tables too, because it's such a it has nice trees and everything there too. Would be a great place to activate the street.
I'll let Josh or Roger answer the dog question first.
Yeah, first off, we're one of those my other business, Uptown Beer Co., is one of those businesses that is dog friendly inside and out. I even have a sub Instagram called Pup Town because we get such a great dog following there. So that it's a wonderful place to bring your dogs on a rainy day. Obviously, we're only operating outside right now, so everyone's outside enjoying their dogs. I would love to say that we will be doing that, and we would love to gear ourselves to that. The flow, the way things work, kind of how everything works out will dictate whether or not, but I'm a dog lover and would very much so. And the beer community loves dogs. Brewery dogs are really common. I would be surprised if we weren't. And the only reason we wouldn't would be because of some sort of OLCC or other entity telling us no. We would love to have dogs there.
Yeah, definitely love to have them. Big dog person myself.
Awesome.
Nice. So the plaza on Holland Broadway, this is a common dinner table discussion in my household. And that is property that we own, and it's leased back to the city for use as a Beaverton downtown city park. And which is great. I think it has at one point had some sort of a gazebo type of food cart, and the gazebo matched that which is currently over by the library, which we would love to see come back at some point. Right now, it's really because I think we're located so close to the transit station, it is acting as a catch-all for people who don't have anywhere else to go. So it's pretty common for transients to be, sitting there for long hours. And, you were talking about some of the assaults happening, and it makes it feel kind of dangerous to us. And when I'm working at the shop by myself, it doesn't feel very safe. So at some point, Dan and I have talked about, coming up with a plan for that, whether it's a food cart situation or whether it's employee or tenant common space, or something that can just make it a little bit more useful to the community instead of useful to just people who need to sit and litter. And
yeah, I would encourage you to talk to the city about that. They've been really good at trying new things, especially because of COVID and the need for outdoor seating right now, especially they've tried, if you've gone through on First Street, you've seen the barricades and all that. That only happened because people asked. So I think the appetite now is to be a little more open, especially if there's a business need to kind of changes and maybe just trying things. So I think that would be a really interesting. It's a great plaza. It's really nice space. It just, you know, we got to figure out how to activate all of these little micro spaces in our city so we're not overlooking anything. So I would encourage you to let us know how we can help too from the neighborhood perspective. You know, this is core to who we are too. We want to see these spaces vibrant and filled with people out drinking beer that is brewed right next door, right?
Totally.
I will say from an architectural perspective, activity is one thing. And garage door on the west side of that movie theater building. So when Miracle does have events, they could open that door, which is adjacent to that plaza. So there are certain kind of architectural things that we are implementing to try and help the whole site become activated, which should help to make it a bit more safe.
Yeah. We've got a question from one of the attendees. Tom Holland asks, he counted 6 parking spaces. Are there plans for more on-site parking?
Currently not, and most of the reason for that is that the buildings are already in place. So most of the site's taken up, and we have added the parking, pretty much maximized it for that Miracle Sign storefront. And there's maybe a couple parking spaces we could add to the back, but most of the parking down there will be on street.
Are there other questions or comments? Kevin, I don't think you actually need to raise your hand. Or actually, neither of the panelists, I believe, you can just pipe up. But yeah, go ahead.
You go first.
Yes.
Oh, I just wanted to say I'm so excited to have you guys across the street as neighbors, and I think it's going to be great. And hope that maybe we can do a coffee beer together sometime.
We love that idea. We love
to do that. Yep.
Yeah, coffee beer.
I just wanted to say welcome, guys. For those of you who don't know, Binary Brewing actually participated in a Beaverton Downtown Association beer walk about a year ago now. So when they say they want to do community events and stuff like that, I mean, we've seen it. They're great to work with, good communicators. And Broadway needs some extra juice.
Happy to provide it.
Thank you for coming, guys. And Kat, you and Dan are doing a great job over there.
We love doing community-focused beers. We actually just announced and released our Black is Beautiful beer, where all the proceeds are going to Don't Shoot PDX. It's for sale at our Uptown Beer Co. location. You can get cans to go or enjoy a pint there in our socially distanced beer patio. We also are trying to sell this to local bars and restaurants. So tell your favorite pub that you want a keg of the Binary's Black is Beautiful.
Hey,
Sorry.
We'll take one, Josh.
Awesome. We'll sell you one.
Perfect.
Yeah, Lauren at Lionheart Coffee. I'll talk to you about it.
Great, thank you. Also did the, well, Uptown is selling the first responder beer, right, Josh?
Yeah, we worked with Yahat's Brewing and Tiller Malt, and we are the location for all first responders. I wish I could have said this when the officers were still here, because they're included. Yahat's and Tiller Malt has bought you a beer, so please come and pick it up at our location. And anyone else can also buy a beer, and 100% of the proceeds are going to a first responders grant to help those that were affected during the last couple of months in COVID.
Good. All right, last call for commentary from the panel and attendees. Excellent. Otherwise, thank you very much for your time. And, sorry, Quinn.
Sorry, I just had one quick question. I think, did I see on one of the schematic architectural drawings a tenant call out for the older kind of Victorian home that's there? Was I making that up?
Yes, there will be a space on the bottom floor of the Robinson House that is a small space that we really envision being like a small retail store or a very small restaurant if they were able to fit a small kitchen in. We were originally looking at, you know, a Colombian food restaurant who currently has a food cart and is interested in getting into their first brick and mortar location. So something like that would be really great. And then there will be 2 offices upstairs eventually as well that could be small marketing spaces, but that's sort of kind of phase 3.
And does that home have, and sorry if I missed this, does that home have historical value, or is it protected in any way?
It's registered on the historical registry. It was Dr. Robinson's house. It was built in 1880.
1890, I think.
1890. And then it's you know, the space is interesting because it's been morphed into commercial, into the, you know, into that whole bakery building throughout the years. And so it, you know, the upstairs still feels like a house, but the downstairs is just part of the big commercial space.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, I love what's been done with the Miracle building, just visually, architecturally. I think it's beautiful. So excited to see what other improvements were made.
Yeah, we're really happy with how that turned out.
Very good. All right. Well, once again, thank you for coming out, and whether you be business property owners or business owners, you're always welcome at the to bring your own business to the neighborhood association committee meetings. So, and please do, because tell your friends. Got lots of space. So with that in mind, we will go ahead and move on to the next agenda item, and we're only running like 1 behind. So Lauren Reese with Lionheart Coffee, thank you very much for your patience.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate the time on the agenda tonight. So I'm coming tonight because I plan to submit a grant application for support from the NAC. The city of Beaverton approached Lionheart about a month ago about helping them partner to have an open air seating area by closing down the area from First and Watson to First and Washington. And we, of course, jumped and said, yes, we'll do it. The city of Beaverton is helping us to put tables and chairs out there. We're able to fit about 72 seats. But we recognize that part of the success of this program is having usable seats. And as we get into the hotter months of the summer, shade is going to be very important. And so we are asking for support from the NAC to help provide shade. We have partnered with a company called Portland Productions, who has, I'm going to share my screen, drawn out a shade structure for the space. It includes these long, I guess first, thumbs up if you can see my screen. Thank you. These long tents that will provide shade. If you've ever been on First and Watson, the sun is punishing at the end of the day because it's facing east to west. And so these kind of provide a cast shadow to the side. This middle structure is a truss structure, and then 2 more shaded tents. And let me just show you really quickly. This is a similar truss structure. So it's really nice, super open air, has a transparent top to it, and then lots of space underneath. And so we at Lionheart are going to help manage this. Anybody can come with food from any restaurant, including food from home, to use this space as an open air plaza. We're calling it the First Street Dining Commons. And then you can also have beer and wine from Lionheart, or bring in closed containers from other places, other restaurants around the area, and bring them into this area. We've added it to our OLCC license and our insurance. So I guess that's kind of my long elevator speech about this. What other information do you need from me?
So what are you looking for from the NAC?
Thank you. So we're looking for funding support. We have matching funds for this, and we are looking for $3,000 in support that would fund a portion of this. The remainder of it we're going to be looking for community sponsors. The total cost of this structure plus the shade for the period of July 1st through October 31st is going to be about $8,000. So we're looking at the NAC for to support $3,000 of it, and then we're looking to other businesses and other community members to help us support with the remainder.
And I know that there was previously, when the Open Air Recovery Program was starting to get off the ground, the closure of First Street was an issue about having the other businesses that were adjacent to that ready to utilize it. And I know that at least one of your neighbors has reopened. Do you have you gotten the majority of the business neighbors to sign off on this?
Yes. So
okay.
Nobody was opposed to it.
Okay.
And the city of Beaverton actually also went around to everybody
right.
To confirm. And unfortunately, some of our neighbors just aren't probably going to open until much later. It's a huge bummer, but doesn't really translate well to takeout. So we're hoping also that maybe by seeing this, it will, maybe some of our neighbors can find a way to operate during this time, since there's going to be more seating and they don't have to be inside. So
right, I know that was the hope, that to make this available for to make it more economically viable to reopen.
Right.
And that's a very tough. I mean, it's hard to make have a above water restaurant in the best of times, much less right now. So well, this is fantastic. And more specifically, I know that the little bit of communication that I saw from you was the purpose of the NAC funds were for lighting and some other accoutrements. Is that correct, or is this just all getting bundled in together?
Yeah, so I think at first we were thinking about doing kind of lighting and umbrellas, but after kind of looking at the sun trajectory, we figured out that umbrellas aren't going to be, once I get my 3-year-old, just kidding. Good night. He's going to bed. Sorry. And so after talking to Portland Productions, they suggested this truss structure and a tent, and also lighting that goes along with it. And so the NAC funds will go towards a portion of each of those. They're taking care of the entire package, and so the funds will kind of just go towards that total invoice.
Okay. Great.
I'm gonna have a quick question. First of all, again, Lauren, you guys, yes, yay. These are the kind of transformative things downtown that we need to happen, and that I just didn't think this was going to happen, so I'm super excited. But is there a possibility for some sort of sign or something calling out that the NAC participated and sponsored in some way? Is that a possibility somewhere? Absolutely,
yes. And actually, I'll admit to multitasking. I was designing the banners for this. So we are going to call it the NAC. And I guess one of the questions that I would have for the NAC is how you would like us to call it out, if there's any graphics that you would like us to use. But we plan on having a really great presence for the NAC there. And we also would really welcome, I mean, having an event right now isn't really smart, but having call out spaces where you can display information about the NAC and when meetings are and things like that, I think would be really valuable. And so if that's an opportunity that the NAC would like to use, I'd love to find a place for it.
Okay. Thank you. This is awesome. I mean, it's not surprising to me because I'll toot Lionheart's horn a little bit, but you guys are amazing, amazing with not just your coffee but your community facing work, like the school lunch program you guys have been doing. Like, it's like, those are the kind of businesses we want downtown. Like, those are the kind of community facing, just freaking awesome. Like it's bigger than your business, but it's also special because of it. So Yeah, I think this is like an awesome opportunity, number one, to support a local business and a local community, but also to create this amazing semi-public space where people, like you said, can use any business, any food, any coffee, any wine, whatever, just have a place to gather downtown. We have far too few of these downtown places to gather that are comfortable to sit. And this could be a big cultural shift. And I think it's a really good opportunity for us to test drive something, right? Let's, my hope is that as we test drive these things, they're so popular that people demand public space and places to gather and spaces, away from just a place to put our cars, right?
Absolutely.
I'm really excited about this.
Yeah.
And I guess I'll just put a plug, since Miles is here and everybody, I would love if this became something that happens every summer. And that's kind of another reason why we would like to go with this major structure and really invest in the space and really make it look special and really make it a place, to kind of create something that we can really do every summer, and it's a sustainable thing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I really applaud that the members of the business community are looking to, I know that often it is contention that, if you do anything with the street, you're losing parking, you're losing access to your business. And I really appreciate that you're using your frontage to open it up to the community and to try and take back the public space for the public. Not to say that, you can't drive on it, you're not public, but I'd rather walk or ride my bike there. That's just me. And the fact that I think it works really well with the city's downtown design project is great. That it's the community that's leading that design space as well. So I am very much in favor for things, but we do have a quorum. This is fantastic. Are there other comments from attendees or the board in regards to the current?
Are there, I do have are there opportunities for us to get some volunteer hours to, like, in your setup or anything like that? Because that will help us offset some of the cost. If we can, even if it's like planning sessions or any sort of help with this, because the city pays us back based on volunteer hours. I think that would be helpful if you guys can think of things we can do.
Isn't it volunteer hours as well as in-kind donations?
In-kind.
So any other in-kind monetary donations? And I don't know if I'm sure Miles probably has.
Yeah, how would the public space count? Because that seems like a pretty big in-kind. Because it's not just for Lionheart, right? Miles, are you still there?
Yeah. I'm just thinking through this.
Right.
I love John's suggestion of getting some volunteer hours to go along with the cash donation. I think, Lauren, to your point, that would show the broader community interest in doing this. Along those lines, if this is something that you wanted to continue year after year, I would, if I were you or members of the board, I would contact my elected officials at City Hall and let them know that you feel that way, since they're the policymakers. I certainly am not. Otherwise, this would be done by now.
Right.
Yeah, I'm happy to lead that effort too. I know them all.
Yeah. So Lauren does have enough match to cover the full amount of the grant. I think some volunteer hours would be a good idea for the subcommittee, the BCCI subcommittee, to look at. Lauren, I haven't forwarded your application yet. That's something I can add for you if you have an idea.
Just off the top of my head, and I'd love to talk about volunteer hours, I think we could definitely use some support, especially on maybe Saturday mornings with managing the space, making sure tables get sanitized, making sure the area stays clean. That seems like that's like when the farmers market is going on. I have a feeling that time period is going to be so if there's maybe Saturday morning crew that can help out, or the whole setup is already taken care of by the companies that we are renting this area from, but just kind of maybe an ongoing, like an hour a week on Saturdays or maybe on Friday evenings. This is going to, one thing I forgot to say, this is going to be live by this Thursday. And so we're getting the trust structure put up on Wednesday, and it should be fully operational by Thursday morning.
So one question from one of our attendees. Myra Siegel asks, how will cars be routed around the closed street area?
Yeah, so the street is going to be blocked off with barriers at First and Watson and First and Washington. We're really lucky in downtown Beaverton that blocks are very short. And so people are just going to go down to Second and Watson to get down that way. There has been accommodations made for ADA as well as emergency vehicles. The center barricade or whatever is movable so that emergency personnel can get in. And then there are ADA ramps that are being put in as well. So it's a completely accessible space.
Okay, good. I know one of the questions that came up in the first discussions of this area is who's going to actually be responsible for the policing and cleanup of the area ultimately? I mean, I know you asked for some volunteers, but ultimately there's going to be somebody that if there's a mess in the community says, okay, who do we go to about, especially if it's your neighbors, then so who will be the ultimate
that's Lionheart Coffee. So that's our part of the partnership. Okay. We are cleaning, managing, locking up the tables every night. I pulled up on the screen really quick something that I was working on of kind of like the rules of the road of the space. It clearly calls out that you can use the restrooms in Lionheart if you want to. Okay. Come talk to our staff if you see anything that needs attention. You know, all food is welcome, the alcohol guidelines, all those sort of things. So yeah, that is our contribution to the program, is that we are going to be managing and cleaning this space.
Okay. Tom Holland asks, will the city allow acoustic/low volume music in the First Street dining area? That would be cool.
I can't speak for the city, but I can definitely raise the question for sure.
And Lauren, just for your information, Tom has a band.
I do? Oh, Tom Holland. Okay.
Yeah, Tom Holland. So that could be a cool little neighborly concert.
Totally. Hey, Tom, my email is lauren@lionheartcoffee.com. I'd love to talk about it.
So just for all of y'all's information, also, we're going to be collecting donations through the Beaverton Downtown Association website so that people can get some tax write-offs for their donations, and we'll be passing along that funding over to Lionheart to help cover some of the costs. So if you see a fundraiser popping up on the BDA, we're not just like trying to grab some quick cash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's going to be a really important piece of this. We still need to raise about $3,900 to be able to have this for the full 4 months. The first 2 months, that structure is going to have a mesh top so that, you know, sun can come through, but there's shade, but then we're going to put a rain cover on it so that it's a grand space for, you know, rain. So we are going to be pretty ruthless until we're able to fund the whole thing. So
yeah, so get the word out to your friends and on Nextdoor or Reddit or wherever you post things.
Yeah,
Lauren, you guys should put a little a fundraising cup in Lionheart.
We will. We've got a really good idea for what.
Okay.
We need like an extra, 10 minutes to do it, which we haven't done yet. But yeah, no, we're totally gonna do that. We've done things where we call them dip jars, and so you can kind of put your tips for the outside there. Yeah, I'm really hoping that we fundraise hard for a month and then don't have to worry about it.
Agreed. This is awesome. Mm-hmm. Incredible.
So are we ready for a vote, Tom? Drain?
Look for any motions.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Excellent.
Second.
Do we have a second? Fantastic. I will go back to, I'm going to remove your screen sharing if possible so I can see everybody.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'll stop it for you.
Oh, fantastic. Now I can see all the board members in attendance. So the motion's on the floor to endorse the matching grant proposal in front of us. All in favor? Aye.
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 Unanimous. Fantastic. We got a quorum. So you've jumped through that hoop. Excellent.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm very
absolutely.
excited about this. It's going to be a really fun summer.
Absolutely. Yeah, this should be.
The other thing I want to, Lauren, and maybe we can talk about this later, but I think we're changing the culture here of CBNAC to be, and you've heard Tom kind of talk about this, like we want our business neighbors to show up just as well as our residents. And I think this might be an opportunity for us to kind of really, and this is why I asked the sign question too, like we want to partner with our businesses, and we want to share this story around not just money, not just volume, I mean, just everything. Like it's a vital part of our community that's been missing for a long time. And the board here is really interested in business perspective. We're fortunate enough to have Kevin here. And you know, when our businesses show up, like we always have really robust and good discussions, but I think what's probably missing is some of these stories where we do partner and kind of spreading the word out and letting people know that like this is kind of the vision we have for this neighborhood. It's unique in Beaverton because, you know, most of the others are very residential, and that's okay, but Central Beaverton, we've got to try a little bit different approach than the others, and I'm really this might be an opportunity to tell that story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally. I love that. And you know, Ben and I are game for anything. So yeah, whatever you guys think would be a good partnership for this and a awareness opportunity. I mean, we've got a pretty good following on social media too, so we'd love to shout that out.
I'm sure we can also come up with some creative volunteer opportunities to coordinate with this as well. So
yeah, I'm already thinking about that. We'll figure that out. Cool.
Excellent.
Thanks,
Fantastic. Moving on to old business. So I believe the main bits of old business that were being discussed was the ongoing CBNAC Safeguard and Support, our Communities Subcommittee, which we did not meet in over June, did we, Kevin?
No, but I can share a little bit.
Okay.
Or a little bit of updates.
Yeah, I mean, so we did. Part of that was the endorsement of the Open Air Recovery Program.
Yep.
And I will say that we did, on behalf of the NAC, I submitted a letter to council in support of that, as well as kind of furthering exactly this this public space in the public right of way. So it looks like that was at least marginally effective. Kevin, please continue.
Yeah, the only other that was mask donations.
Right.
Requesting from people, and we've gotten I don't remember the count off the top of my head, 70 or so masks that people have donated and that we've been giving out to downtown businesses.
Okay.
So, I've still got some more in my office if anybody needs masks in downtown.
I have something about that too.
Oh, do you? Fantastic. Yeah.
Well, like I think that I would like to see us go further than that, and I would like to see us like produce them and get them produced, pay for them to be produced, like just simple reusable cotton masks. And I've been asking around, and I know someone who produced a bunch for Raindrop Tap Room, and just to give them away there. And I was like, hey, you know, what's your bandwidth to produce more of these, just out of curiosity? She's like, yeah, I can do it for sure. She just doesn't have the materials. So I think if we want to provide the materials, you know, and essentially buy them from her at a really low rate, we could do that. She's a Central Beaverton resident. And then we could give them out to the neighborhood on a bigger scale. We could, you know, put an order in or however many you guys think. I don't know. I think it's a really neighborly thing for us to do to give out masks.
They could be provided at the First Street Dining Commons too.
Yeah, we could just.
It sounds like an excellent volunteer opportunity for some.
It does sound like an excellent volunteer opportunity.
With the CBNAC shirt on, handing out masks to people who may have forgotten them. Maybe they already have one, but they just forget, because that's what I do every time I seem to leave the house. Yeah, I know that we had been brainstorming and looking for other volunteers to provide the labor if we were providing the materials. And other than, I think, Kevin, you had resources from 1 or 2 churches, or at least the UMC church. And other than that, it was pretty spare, looking for people who were actually volunteering. Those who wanted to volunteer already, or who wanted to volunteer, were already volunteering and donating. At least that I found, were already donating to healthcare, first response, to that community. And by the time that we were looking to do that, they were already a little tapped out. And then other than that, I was having some confusion on we had discussed previously providing materials at our, but so for example, this looks like a, working with somebody who is already providing things, has a plan. I was having a difficulty approaching people saying, well, we want to provide you materials, but can you actually put these materials, are we designing the mask for them, or?
Right. No, if you go to Raindrop Tap Room, there's a basket of mats, or a basket of masks. And I just asked Mark, I was like, where did you get these from? Because he's giving them out, right?
Right.
And Joy there, who's a regular, was like, I made them. And then I was like, oh, you make masks? And she's like, yeah. I was like, well, hey, I know an opportunity. And I just kind of basically told her what we had talked about.
Right.
I was like, we're really looking for someone local where we could just provide, essentially give you the materials and buy the mask back from you, kind of thing. For like cost of really around there, so we can just give them out. And she's like a social justice. She believes in masks, so she's like, yes. She's like, So I was like, well, let me talk to you guys at this meeting and find out how many we want, and then find out what the cost would be. I don't know.
Right.
She's not going to make money off of them. That's not who she is. But I can reach out to her and find out what it costs to make a mask. And maybe it's something as simple as like, okay, we want 500, and she can do that for $500.
Right.
Then we just provide it, and she can buy the own materials, or
and then
maybe she wants us to buy the material. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far. I wanted to see if it's okay with you guys before. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that do you want me to do that? I'm happy to reach out to her.
John?
Well, number 1, is it a good idea? Do you guys still believe in that? And number 2, do you want me to pursue this?
John, I was just going to interject that it could be a matching grant project. And if she's giving you a discount, that would count towards the match, which could be substantial.
Right.
Yeah. Which
absolutely.
I'm sure she would donate her labor,
Yeah, I mean, if she would sell them normally for $5 and sells them to you for $1, that $4 is all match.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look into all of
that. Amanda, do you have thoughts?
Oh, no, that's totally fine. I'm glad that John has a resource, and if it becomes a problem, like where it's too much for his resource, I still have the Beaverton Civic Theater volunteers to offer up. We have a lot of costuming volunteers that you're sitting at home that would love a project, but it seems like if John has somebody who's organized already and is maybe looking for additional help, but would be like a project manager for that, we would certainly be able to help in that area.
Amanda, did you get the email that I sent you with an email with basically the copy for an email to your list?
I don't believe I did, no.
Okay, that would explain.
That's all right. I can
hear
go
anything
back
from. Okay,
yeah.
that's okay.
If you don't hear anything back from me within a day, that means I didn't see it.
Yeah, I recalled that you had offered your email, your
worries.
costumers as a potential resource, and so I drafted something. And let me confirm that I actually sent it to you, and then I sent it to the correct address.
Okay, yeah, no worries at all. But yeah, it seems like if John has somebody who's already organized to do that, that's probably a more efficient use of everything. But if additional resources are needed, I have access to them.
Yeah, if this is a very keen, a volunteer who wants to make 1,000 masks, then more power to them. I can imagine that would be a daunting, many hands make less work is kind of the idea. And if we have more members, especially if we've got more community members joining them, we'll just have that many more masks or reach that many more people or whatnot. So I wouldn't want to rely entirely on one person. I think that one person is the best, you got to start with someplace. And so we should absolutely pursue that. But then if we've already, once we get, if she's got a pattern and a materials list, and we can even make kits to then distribute to people, kits of materials to distribute to people who are adept at assembling them, then that may be a way to kind of get more things done and provide even more volunteer hours.
Yeah, there's also, so in addition to the potential businesses that we could distribute with, I know that there's, like, right behind my house, there's a retirement community.
Mm-hmm.
And I see those people walk around, and about half of them have masks. Now, maybe they're just not wearing them because they're being outside, but I think it might be a good opportunity for us to reach out to some of those in Central Beaverton and provide masks to the residents if they don't have them, or at least give them the option, if they need, a couple hundred masks or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I think of really vulnerable people,
no, absolutely,
that's for sure one of the populations. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, it depends for me. This is all a question of scale and scope. I think we should start with the one person.
Mm-hmm.
And get a standard pattern. We'll place that initial order, get it kind of approved by everyone, and then maybe from there, depending on what we want to do, we can scale up. Because I mean, we unfortunately, like, a lot of people still struggle to get masks, or they're only have one and they're not washing it very often or whatever. So I think this is going to be a long-term thing. We should probably be another resource in the community for people.
Yeah, I completely agree that I think that's the best way to handle it as well.
Okay.
Excellent. We had previously approved a $500 budget for materials for exactly this. So that money has already been allocated.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't know how much, so I'll just reach out to her and have that conversation.
Sure.
Knowing that we can at least begin with that. So
right, and then you can go ahead, John. You can go ahead and just coordinate with me or Kevin or Jonathan as the subcommittee,
okay.
And then we don't have to wait till next month or anything like that. Just start getting things done. So
awesome.
Yeah. Are there any other old business that you can think of? All right. Otherwise, or anything else from the community that is in particular cogent to the current public health state of emergency, whether it be questions, commentary. Yes, Lauren.
I just wanted to remind everybody, because we were just reminded, starting tomorrow, businesses could be penalized if they allow people into their businesses not wearing a mask. And so if you could help us get people more masks, we would really appreciate it. A lot of the burden of this mask is falling on the business community. So the more that people can help others find resources for masks, or remind them that masks are important and it's not the businesses being the bad guy about this, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's kind of up to the community to use the peer pressuring social pressure to normalize it and to bring those. I mean, I've got family members who are proudly rebellious as to why, I'm not sure, but regardless, there are definitely folks out there that need to be encouraged, and I'm happy to do that as well. So how about anything from our...
I will also say, just speaking of COVID, that we are private labeling hand sanitizer at the Miracle Shop. So if there are businesses who want to, come by the shop, we can private label sanitizer that you can either hand out or use to spray things down. And it's sort of a goodwill generating campaign and a way to keep our employees employed.
Very good.
We have some at Uptown Beer Co. They're fantastic. They're very cute.
Yeah, us too.
Yeah, they're great.
Cool. All right. Well, we will then move on to visitor comments, announcements, concerns, things of that. I will go ahead and hopefully my dog who just entered is apparently freaking out about fireworks in the neighborhood. I spoke with, in passing, with one of actually our current attendees, who I believe she is being quiet at the moment, Myra. We had a very pleasant conversation. She did, as you can see, she's joining on the Zoom meeting. I know she's been at some of the in-person meetings. She wanted to endorse the Zoom online aspect of these meetings as something that she would like to see continue after the state of emergency is passed. So it's not just the board members who, I know we've had some board members who have expressed the desire that this is a very convenient venue. There are members of the public who I think more of them may be inclined to use this. So I know, Miles, you said that this is only going through the state of emergency, and so at some point we may, as a committee, want to reach out to our state representative in order to encourage that as to make that a permanent change, that this would be an option. And I don't think that it should entirely take the place of a physical meeting when those can resume, but especially if there's some way to allow participation virtually while we still have a physical meeting, that's to be determined. But I think it's worth potentially just going ahead and contacting our state rep as a body to endorse the current public policy. So I don't know what people's other attendees' feelings are on this.
That's long been a question in Highland as well. People are like 7 p.m. or 6:30, and I have kids and dinner and all this. I can't come to the meeting. I want to be able to do so. Some sort of hybrid where we do in person and have like a call in or something like that, even if it's not Zoom, sort of video conferencing,
right?
So people can hear, I think might be good. We got to be careful because not careful, maybe that's not the right word. We want to encourage people to show up at the meetings, not just call in. So we
no.
be cognizant of that.
I would not be in favor of moving entirely to virtual. I think that there's a lot more is gained by having the in-person contacts, because so much happens either between or after in terms of community building. I just wanted to gauge and relay that there were other members of the community who were definitely in favor of this as an access, and then to see if we as a body should take further steps to enshrine in state policy that change. I don't foresee that the state of emergency is going to be concluding anytime soon, unfortunately, so we're going to continue to do this for a while, but just to have it in the minds. Anyway, are there other? Yes, Kevin.
Yeah, I've got two things. One is some local high school students just completed a really cool mural behind Pedro's Upholstery, behind the Top Burmese Bistro Royale. It's now my favorite mural in downtown Beaverton, which is saying a lot. It's incredibly powerful. It's incredibly moving, and you should go check it out. And then the second thing is I'm wearing a t-shirt that is of it. It says "One Beaverton." It's got a beaver and some trees and a little river. These shirts are for sale from several downtown businesses on their websites, on the BDA website, and the sales go to support downtown businesses. I'll put a link in the chat, but I think it's pretty cool.
Cool. That is cool.
I have an announcement as well.
Yes, John.
So the Pride organization, obviously we canceled Pride this year, just to be safe, but we had a board meeting, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and we are looking at doing and the details are still in works, but probably mid-August, a bike ride, a Pride bike ride likely through Greenway Park. potentially starting at Lionheart Coffee over on their Shoals Ferry location, potentially. But riding through the park, and it would be a pride ride in solidarity of Black Lives Matter. So we would encourage people to have like signs on their bike. And right now, the thing we're working on is like working with health authorities on determining how to do this safely. You know, obviously a mask and social distancing, but what is social distancing on a bike, that sort of thing. So we're working through the details. We also are working with the Parks District to figure out, you know, resourcing and that sort of thing. So I'll let you know once we have a date. It will likely be mid-August. So I'll probably, the next meeting, have a date locked down for sure. Just wanted to give people a heads up about that. That's coming, and a great way to, number one, get some cardio, be out safely in the community. We're thinking that we might turn it into like a food raiser kind of thing for Family Promise of Beaverton too. Like bring canned goods or bring some sort of non-perishable food, and then that's your ticket to ride kind of thing. But obviously we're still figuring that part out, but more details to come on that. And we just want to make sure that we're showing solidarity with people in the community.
Excellent.
I'm just going to chime in real quick. I just want to go back to John's initial support for the virtual / not making it all virtual, because I do agree there is a community aspect of being in person, but I just know we talked a lot about breaking down barriers for people to come. So I heavily support the idea of whether it's on one, off one, having virtual connection opportunities, or if we just have online and then we make it seem so fun to be in person that people start coming when they go online or whatever. I just think I definitely support having some type of virtual aspect for people to join, just based off of what we're trying to do here as a NAC. But that's it. Thanks.
Absolutely. And Kinsey, thank you for reminding me that your video went away and I forgot you were there. But I was thinking about what you were saying and your concern last month. And what I wanted to, one of the things that I wanted to ask, unfortunately I didn't get the chance to ask Miles before this. So there are two very relevant boards and committees, citizens boards and committees in city government, and that would be the Diversity Advisory Board and the Human Rights Board. Both of those are open to the public, and I don't know. So formally we have one representative to a board or committee, and that is the BCCI rep. I know that the citizens boards don't actually have the community input at that type of level. They just don't work like that. But if it would be worthwhile, if this is a thing that we want to make sure that our committee is formally engaged with, we could create our own ad hoc representative, basically just a board member who is committed to attend regularly these, any one of these meetings. So it wouldn't be like a formal representative. Obviously they would have no voice on this board, but if we wanted to do something to be more connected rather than just reading the minutes or whatnot, because you do lose a lot of the discussion. You don't have the opportunity necessarily. There's always public comment, and that's usually the extent of any non-board member that input to this. But if it would be worthwhile, if there are any, or I don't know what people, the other board members think about exploring or looking after having a more regular commitment to attend either of those boards. So this is just something that I was thinking of. Kevin.
I'm going to the Diversity Advisory Board next Monday just to listen. I think it could be wise to have somebody who is committed to be there every month, whether it's the same person or not.
Yeah.
But those people are full of a lot of wisdom that I think we could benefit from.
Right, and it's more, and I think that was more my idea is, rather than, you know, I've gone to one, I haven't been to the Human Rights Board, but to make sure that we are actually engaged and connected with those issues, with those bodies. would be to have a, commitment from probably a board member. I guess it could also be a general member, but I don't know that there's really.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go to the human rights one last week. I basically went on and signed up for every update because I was just realizing I had no clue about anything around city government. So I was trying to learn more about all the different organizations. But yeah, I think I agree. I just basically am voicing or echoing that I think it's a good opportunity. And I think I was in the conversation last week, there were times I was even uncomfortable, and I think that's important. And to bring that conversation here and make all of us uncomfortable. And I say that as like, that's an opportunity for us. And I think it's important. And yeah, so I think it's a good idea and would be happy. I mean, I know we can rotate it or whatever, but I'm definitely willing to, or definitely am on board with that idea.
Okay. Quinn, I see you nodding.
Yes, I'm in support of that as well.
Okay. So at this point, do we want, yes, Kevin.
Since I'm going next Tuesday, I can just report to the board or to this committee next month about what's happening, and then we can decide whether we want it to be the same person going every month or switch it up. But that way we can at least continue the conversation.
Yeah, I don't want to add too much more to the monthly agenda, but I think having that, making sure that we're connected and aware of what is actually going on, because they have the most influence, I would say, about, in terms of actually what is brought to council and what the actual other members of the community are bringing in terms of concerns to city government. So
I would like to make a suggestion to the group. I think it's a great idea. If I were in your position, I would reach out directly as a chair to the chair and let them know that that's what you're doing.
Okay.
You could potentially be a little off-putting to have Central Beaverton just start showing up to your meeting every month without kind of a heads up or, hey, this is why we're here. We're not here to check up on you. And I can get you that email.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, Miles, if you wouldn't mind, then yeah, I reached out to the committee in January, but it was, or at least the diversity advisory board. I haven't been in any contact with the human rights.
And they may have some ideas for you guys as well, like ways to partner or share information or whatever it is.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I think it's more just to. I was looking to make sure that we were as connected with the resources that this city already has as possible. So fantastic. Well, Kevin, Kinsey, were you planning on going to the next human rights or?
Yeah, they're on my email list. I mean, right now it's a little bit hard because some meetings start at like 8, which is 11 here. But I can check out when the next one is and let you know if I can make it. Sure. I'm going to try and make them. It just depends if I have an early work call.
Gotcha.
So.
And more, yeah, Kevin, I'll be in contact with you in regards to the Diversity Advisory Board. Kinsey, I can contact with you just to see. Okay. I won't put any agenda item on unless it actually, there's something to worth everybody's time to hear about. And Miles, I would appreciate, being able to follow up with or contact the chairs there would be phenomenal.
And they will be recording their meetings also, their virtual meetings, and publishing those somehow. We haven't worked out all the details yet, but so you guys could have a virtual viewing party of a virtual meeting.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great Friday night.
I am.
That's so
Wild
funny.
Excellent. Well, I believe unless there are any other community or attendee questions or comments, it looks like we're starting to lose members. You're awake, Miles. I know you are.
Just taking notes.
Oh, okay. Just looks sleepy. That's okay. Well, thank you all for joining us this evening, and feel free to contact me or whomever at any time with concerns, or if you've got ideas for agenda items or speakers or things that the board or the community in general should be aware of. And thank you all for your time this evening, and otherwise we'll see you in August.
Awesome.
Have a good night.
Very nice.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for your support.
Thanks for the presentations.
as everybody logs off. Thank you very much, Miles.
Yeah, thank you, Tom.
As
You do
always.
such a great job leading these meetings. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you guys make it very easy for me to do. I don't want to keep you too long because I know it's late. You had called last week, and I
Yeah.
didn't know if you got your questions answered in the meantime, or if you want to just.
If you have a quick minute.
I've got time, but I also
Okay.
don't have a 6-year-old or any other kids or stuff like that. So
She's watching a show.
If tomorrow is better, just in general. Otherwise, I got time right now. So
Yeah, I think we can do it real quick.
Okay.
I was calling about, so Counselor Arnold came to your meeting.
Yes.
And she got really excited and jazzed up by what you guys were doing.
Yeah.
One of the city council's priorities that they wrote, I don't know when we got it, February probably, before COVID, was I think she called it emergency preparedness in the neighborhoods.
Yep.
I don't know what that means yet. I don't know what the other 5 counselors think it means. Or 4 counselors, excuse me.
Yeah.
And the mayor. But I was just trying to get a sense of how interested NACs would be in kind of doing something along those lines. And since then, I've gotten some more information that she's thinking more about how NACs could help neighbors and what kind of support they need to do that. And you guys are great. You're already doing it. Like you talked about it like 4 times tonight. So I'm going to mention all those in my email to her. But just, so that's what my phone call was about.
Oh, okay.
But really, this meeting kind of answered that.
Oh, fantastic.
And since I got more information from her, I understand better.
Okay. Yeah.
You guys really lit a fire under her, so.
Yeah, I was supposed to have a conversation with her a few weeks ago, but I know that she was going through some personal health discomfort. She dropped out of I just remember she dropped out of the June 9th council meeting because she had a crazy headache. So, and then in a follow-up email, she said that she was having some, just looking at like screens and devices and answering emails was not comfortable at that time. So I didn't know I haven't been in contact with her since then. So,
Okay.
yeah, I had been at least somewhat in contact with her just independently as well.
Great. Yeah, and then the other thing is I'd really get on Ryan to get you guys added to the account.
Yeah, I think with John, the problem, for me, that was an
Or at
unexpected.
least John.
Yeah.
And then John can add you at another time.
Right. Yeah, I was not expecting to run into the issue where somebody in Puerto Rico was using my social security number.
Oh, yeah.
So, and of course, the social security office is not open. You can call them and wait.
Don't you have your credit in lockdown? Don't you have credit freezes?
Here's the thing is, I haven't seen nothing has actually appeared on my credit report. It's just that there's another person who is using my social security number for what, I'm not sure. But anyway.
Probably work.
Exactly. I mean, they're
not like opening credit cards, but.
They're not, yeah. Luckily, I mean, fair enough. I had bad credit for a while. They would not actually want to try and use my credit report for well, okay, at least not until the last year or so. But anyway,
I think all waiters had bad credit at one point.
Oh, absolutely.
Or former waiters.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so yeah, and that was just because it was a credit union that he's got the NAC thing at First Tech. So
yeah, they've been pretty easy to work with. And then Oregonian's credit union off of Allen, they actually like sent me all the paperwork that needs to be filled out, and we're like, do this, and this, and we'll do it. We'll open a new account.
Yeah.
So if First Tech ever becomes an issue, we have kind of a backup.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was weird for me because my wife is an Intel employee and our mortgage is through First Tech, and they wouldn't let me on. It was that much of a deal. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was a little surprising. I will make sure that John gets added hopefully this month. Ryan actually usually has time during the day. I don't know why he's not coming to the meetings. I'll follow up with him and see, because it really is important that he is attending these, and I haven't seen him at one of these meetings since November.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Technically, he should, according to the bylaws, he is not a board member.
Yeah.
And we can't have him be an officer at the same time. And I will ask if he is, I mean, his commitment right now is minimal. I will just see if he wants to transfer the responsibility to somebody else.
Yeah.
And then we can always,
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Anyway. All right.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, let me know if you guys need anything else.
How old are your kids, Tom?
Currently, one is -3 months. So, as in,
Oh, that's right. That's
we
right.
We don't
That's
have any
right.
yet.
Yes.
And end of September is the.
Oh, I'm gonna lose you in September.
My wife and I are. We'll see. I will probably at least ask John to run October meeting, but by November I will. I will. Odds are we'll probably still be doing online meetings.
I hope so.
I mean, I think at that time we will still be in a position where that the state health authorities will not want people being congregated unnecessarily if there's other alternatives. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming at least through the end of 2020 and into 2021 that virtual, and that makes things a little bit easier. Plus, my wife is, she's a totally competent person and is fine with saying go and do this for 2 hours. So
Yeah.
I'll always make sure that the agenda is set still for October. So I'm hoping that you will not lose me, but I'm not planning on stepping out. So we'll see.
You can do it.
Yeah.
You're just gonna be tired
Oh, it's okay.
all the time for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Luckily, I returned to my undergraduate studies in my early 30s, and then went to grad school on top of that. So, I'm used to not sleeping. At least not in the last few years. But it's not anyway. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and my plan for virtual meetings is to continue them even after COVID for NACs that want to, because a lot of NACs are having really good. We're getting really good attendance from people who won't come to a regular meeting. And it's just a matter of working out how we satisfy public meeting laws and do that at the same time.
Yep.
But I'm creative. We can figure out a way. So, and then if you want to have in-person meetings and find a way to incorporate this, we'll figure that out.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I didn't want to volunteer the, city's resources or problem solving. I mean, I know that there are already meetings that are simulcast and whatnot, but that's not the same thing. Technology has luckily made a lot of this a little bit easier. You don't need a full TV studio in order to do this kind of casting anymore. So as long as a place has internet and you've got a webcam, then that can be. I think that there's some places to, some means that'll let it happen. So.
Because they're unique that you use a THPRD facility, only a couple of NACs have that luxury.
Okay.
I don't think Beaverton School District is going to let us back in to the.
Oh yeah.
No, I think they're going to use this as an excuse to keep their building shut to all public groups. I haven't seen the administration in the last 3 years be supportive of having other people in their buildings and really kind of tighten down all the rules and regulations and it's just become very difficult. And I think this is going to be the kind of line in the sand where they're going to say no more school uses. So then I got to find meeting spaces. There's not meeting spaces. So I think for a lot of them, it may be either they meet at City Hall or they go virtual. So.
Wow. Yeah. Cause I guess there's definitely not city property in most of the NAC areas. And then, that would be, I guess, the school district is the only place that you've got public space.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, all right. Well, thanks for everything, Tom.
Yeah,
Have a good
absolutely.
night.
Yeah, you too. And,
sleep while you can.
I'll start stocking up. See if I can bank it.
I'll see you in December and you just be like, oh man, you were right.
We'll see what happens. Anyway, all right. Have a good night. Let me know.
Night,
give me a call anytime.
Okay.
See you. Bye.
Good night.